Okay, so this is part 2 anyway, 10-minute videos. Anyway, yeah, so I talked about, at least I did talk about a lot of the stuff's been lost or erased, so this is kind of damage control, I suppose. But I originally talked about, in my videos, having grown up with breasts and things like that, and it being an affirmation to my femininity. I had the idea that I would get, you know, the soft tissue, the breast tissue, basically, removed at some point, maybe getting pectoral implants or something like that. And then when I decided that I was going to transition, getting a boob job was a thing in my mind that I was like, something that I'd always wanted to do, but just was on the other side of the coin, rather than getting male pectoral implants, getting female pectoral implants, seeing how I feel with that and having fun with that. Because the whole point of transition, the original point of transition, was to have a lot of fun. I didn't. I'd say I'm probably the exception, and especially if you look at my YouTube channel, you can look at my Facebook, and I've told you about the kind of social ostracization that I went through by various different groups, especially being on the street. Street gangs are the worst. They're very organized, more so than you think. At least what a lot of people would think. So being ostracized from large groups, and this is where politics comes in, because you have different groups, basically. But the underworld, the underground world, has a lot of different kind of groups. So yeah, I didn't have that kind of exciting time, and it was quite bitter in the end, letting go of my femininity, my beauty, I suppose it makes sense. Basically, the way that I was treated is indicative of narcissistic abuse, because I was singled out by a large groups of people who wanted to basically use me, and I let myself for the most part, because I've always lived my life as a bit of a leaf on the wind. So that's a Serenity quote. If anyone will get that, probably not. Maybe, you never know. Anyway, and so that's probably why I ended up being where I ended up, because I didn't really have too much thought about where I was going, just trying to enjoy the ride, basically, which is sort of what I think life should be about anyway. And it didn't work for me. It didn't happen for me. So with the detransitioning, again, there was a point of no return, I suppose, whereby I thought to myself, I could potentially live as myself uh, as a woman, as a trans woman, um, although none of my needs were being met for that. And the abuse at home was getting worse and worse and worse, ending up to me being homeless now I think this is the 5th or 6th time now she's made me homeless. So for me, most people have a 1 or 2 strike rule, a 3 strike rule. I went for 6 because I'm stupid. And it is one of the hardest things to accept that, the mental health in not just yourself, but, people that you love, specifically my mother, had degraded to the point where her hatred, and I understand it as well, because I was the only person in her life. So she saw me, because I was the only person in her life, she saw me as the demon. Not her friend or her ally or her son, just an abuser. So I understand from her perspective. But from my perspective, it was having a world at my back trying to kill me, and coming home to a place where I should be safe and not being safe there either. So I had nowhere to run, basically. And that's the point of the breakdown, mainly because living on the street, I wasn't able to really live as a woman successfully. And I was abused way too much when I already had some semblance of protection. It's not like my mum's mental health was always bad, it's just the way she drank. Yeah, that basically have that kind of so I'm being forced to detransition, but I'm not being forced to detransition because it was already my goal to transition into being a man, just go through the feminine phase to become a man. And the stages that I went through, obviously, having that goalpost removed completely and being stuck in a mid-transitional state permanently. I'm lucky because, well, you can see me. I look like just a dirty old man now. Oh yeah, I'm a dirty old man. Especially with the smear campaign going against me, that's not going to go down well. But even so, you've still got to laugh at yourself. So sometimes that's what I'm looking for, just to laugh. So yeah, I could have potentially lived happily like that. Even post-op, I would have been happy as well, because again, one of the things I was trying to get across to a lot of the surgeons and things like this is I don't really have any connect with my sexual identity, sex at all, to be honest. I wouldn't say, I'm maybe like non-binary, but like trans, and that's good enough for me. So I could have lived happily. I could live happily either or is what I'm saying. It's no skin off my nose. What is upsetting is when people will use what's happening to you as a pawn in their game of left and right. And I find that being used in that way is something that I find abhorrent. So, yeah, I'm running out of time again, so